In this module, we'll follow the full journey of an Azure Dedicated HSM deployment from idea to production. We'll plan capacity, design secure network paths, walk through the provisioning workflow, and close with validation and operational handoff, so your HSMs are truly ready for live workloads. You've already covered the why for Dedicated HSM, when to use it, and how it fits into Azure's broader security story. Now we move into the how. Planning the deployment, designing the network, and preparing the platform, so operations can run securely and reliably. Dedicated HSM isn't a flip-a-switch service. You're getting physical HSM appliances, so every decision has consequences. You need the right subscription and region, enough capacity for peak and future load, and a network design that keeps traffic secure, yet reachable by your apps. You also need operations and support teams ready to monitor, patch, and recover, while compliance verifies that controls and approvals are in place before anything is deployed. Before you request dedicated HSM capacity, confirm that you actually need it. If managed HSM or Key Vault can meet the requirement, you'll avoid extra cost and complexity. Then line up the right stakeholders across cloud, security, networking, applications, and audit. Be precise about the use case. Strict key custody, a regulatory mandate, integration or migration, and document assumptions, success criteria, and who owns day-to-day operations and incident response. Because dedicated HSM isn't a click-and-go service, subscription readiness matters. First, verify that your subscription is allowed to use dedicated HSM in the target region. Then confirm that the required resource providers and RBAC roles are enabled, so your team can create VNets, subnets, and HSM instances. Engage Microsoft early to check capacity and complete onboarding, and finish by registering any required providers and formally authorizing the deployment path. Dedicated HSMs are physical devices, so you can't assume every region offers them or that capacity is unlimited. Start by confirming which regions support the service and whether they have enough units for your workload. Then size the deployment based on transaction volume, number of applications, and your uptime targets. Plan for multiple HSMs to meet redundancy goals and allow for weeks of lead time for approvals, provisioning, networking, and validation. Dedicated HSM is more than a higher subscription line item. You're also investing in skilled staff, tighter network controls, monitoring, backups, and the compliance evidence auditors expect. With managed HSM, much of that operational burden shifts to Microsoft, so you mainly plan for service fees, connectivity, and integration. Reserve dedicated HSM for scenarios where regulatory or control requirements clearly demand it. Otherwise, the lighter operational load of managed HSM is often the more efficient choice. Azure Dedicated HSM should sit inside a tightly controlled virtual network. Application subnets reach the HSM only over private endpoints, so cryptographic traffic never touches the public internet. Administrative access arrives through a separate management path, typically via a lockdown jump host and management subnet. From there, you hook in monitoring, backup, and security tools. This gives you clear separation between app traffic and admin traffic, aligned with your hub and spoke or shared services network design. Subnet planning for HSMs is about control today and flexibility tomorrow. Keep HSMs in their own subnet, separate from app and management subnets, so security rules and routes stay predictable. Select a CID block large enough for multiple devices, disaster recovery, and Azure's reserved addresses. Check that this range doesn't overlap with on-premises networks or peered VNets. Then standardize names, tags, and documentation, so operations and auditors can quickly see what each subnet is for. Network security groups act as a firewall in front of your dedicated HSM. Begin by limiting traffic to a few trusted source subnets and management hosts. Explicitly allow only the HSM's documented service and admin ports, keeping application paths separate from admin paths. Let everything else be denied by default. Finally, schedule regular reviews to remove exceptions and keep the rule set lean, predictable, and auditable. Dedicated HSM traffic should always follow predictable, well-governed routes. Use hub and spoke routing so application spokes, secure admin networks, and on-premises data centers all reach the HSM subnet through a central hub. Place Azure Firewall or network virtual appliances where your organization enforces inspection. Enable hybrid connectivity with ExpressRoute or site-to-site VPN, and carefully test that forced tunneling and custom route tables don't break HSM management or application connectivity. For HSMs, treat admin access as a separate, highly controlled lane. Administrators connect only from hardened jump hosts or privileged workstations, never from general desktops. Their accounts are named, governed, and bound to specific subnets, with MFA and just-in-time approvals. Every change to users, policies, partitions, or backups goes through privileged access and change control workflows. All actions are centrally logged, monitored, and retained, so security operations and auditors can reconstruct exactly what happened. Consider a payment application that signs transactions with HSM-protected keys. It runs in an approved subnet and reaches the HSM only over private IP paths. For uptime, you deploy 2 HSMs and configure the client libraries for automatic failover. Before go live, you measure end-to-end latency under load, validate throughput targets, and rehearse HSM failures and network blips. You also test access rules so only the payment service can call the cryptographic APIs. Provisioning a dedicated HSM is a life cycle, not a single button click. You begin by planning capacity, regions, and business ownership, then request the service and confirm subscription readiness and quota. Next, you build the landing zone, resource groups, VNets, subnets, NSGs, routes, and connectivity back to your apps. Deploy using your approved templates and naming standards. Finally, validate network paths, management access, logging, and on-call coverage before handing over to operations for ongoing administration. You've seen that dedicated HSM success starts with eligibility checks and capacity planning, followed by a tightly controlled network design. From there, you follow a clear provisioning workflow that ends with validation and handoff. In the next module, we'll move into administration and operations, where you'll manage partitions, users, backups, and monitoring in day-to-day practice.